Hello. So, we are discussing pricing strategies in services businesses, and we concluded yesterday with this particular slide which is in front of you. And you remember that we said that revenue management, the advanced topic that we are discussing today, is most applicable in those services which have high fixed cost structure, relatively fixed capacity, perishable inventory, variable and uncertain demand, and varying customer price sensitivity. I had requested you to think about what services can match these criteria. And as many of you have rightly pointed out, we can look at airlines, we can look at hotels, we can look at cruise ships, we can look at car rental services. These are services which match these 5 criteria which we had talked about. And revenue management, which is basically charging different prices for different types of customers and different types of demands within the same episode. So, if we are looking at airlines, we are looking at a particular flight of an airline, say for example, Bombay to Goa, or we are looking at Delhi to Goa or Delhi to Trivandrum and similar flights. Flights where we have a mix of customers, some are traveling on business, some are traveling for conferences, some are traveling for pleasure and tourism and so on. So, these different customers have different types of demands and different types of price sensitivity, and also have different kinds of budgets for their travel. And airlines or hotels involved in this paradigm are services where there is a big infrastructure, fixed cost, relatively fixed capacity like number of rooms or number of seats on the airlines. And we are looking into one particular episode, that means one particular flight or one particular day or season of a hotel, or one particular cruise of a ship, or one particular day of rental car services. And there therefore, we will have these perishable inventory, because if that flight has taken off and if some seats are vacant, or if some seats have been sold at a price too low, or some seats are not filled with the right kind of customer, then we are losing opportunities which we can never get back. And to that extent, we had discussed earlier that this is what we call the perishable characteristic of service. And these services like airlines, hotels are particularly susceptible to this characteristic, this perishability. Now, on this on the board you have another set of possibilities. As you can see here, we have fixed price and variable price on the x axis, and one y axis we have the duration of the service. There we have taken predictable duration and unpredictable duration. So, if you are looking at say a restaurant, then how long a customer will be in the restaurant having his or her meal or the group, and what all they will order, how long they will spend between ordering, etc. These are unpredictable. Similarly, in case of movies, the duration is predictable, and therefore the price is usually fixed. So, the quadrant we are most interested in is this particular quadrant, which is variable price with predictable demand. If the demand is unpredictable, then variable pricing has certain other problems. So, for our purpose, for the revenue management, we are interested in this particular quadrant. Now, as it is shown here, the whole purpose of revenue management is to maximize the revenue per episode of service by matching different types of demands, different types of customers with different paying capacities with different sections of your service facility. We have to gather a lot of data to apply revenue management correctly. We have to observe the demand pattern day by day, in some cases hour by hour or week by week. We have to see what kind of customers are coming up with what kind of demand at what point of time, and so on and so forth. So, as I discuss a little bit more and show you some examples, this will become clearer. But at this point, it is important to note that we have to ultimately, what we are trying to do is, if there is a finite capacity, we are trying to develop different buckets. So, this is bucket number 1, this is bucket number 2, this is bucket number 3, where we will be charging different prices, and we have to create the buckets in such a way that we have some allocable capacity, or we can migrate some capacity from one bucket to the other bucket. These are relatively well done in a hotel or in a on an airlines, because on the capacity side also we can do some innovation whereby we can actually easily convert the space allocated for business class seats to economy seats, or space allocated for economy seats to business class seats, depending on shifting demand. The seats are so constructed, they are often plug in plug out type, or in some cases you can create different kinds of facilities which are add-on facilities, and you can even create an intermediate class like say economy, business, and in between you can create a variable capacity for what we call a premier economy, where the seat may be an economy seat, but the services will be equivalent to business class, and so on. These are some different possibilities that we have discussed before. But the way I just now drew the graph for different types of buckets, you can easily therefore understand that what we are looking at is that the demand, this again this we have seen earlier, that the quantity of units demanded have a correlation with price per unit of service. So, there is a certain types of demand. This is the demand. This demand is quite elastic with respect to. So, as you if the price per unit comes down, then your demand will be shifting. So, a small change in price can mean a large change in demand pattern. On the other hand, we can have this type of demand where the price may change, but that will cause practically no change or very little change in demand. So, this is this DI is therefore called demand for service is price inelastic. Big changes, price changes have little impact on demand, and this is the other D dot, which is demand is price elastic. Small changes in prices lead to big changes in demand. Okay, these are now interestingly we find that in this kind of services, this variable price for predictable duration, that means like a Bombay Goa flight, there are different types of demands, and therefore different types of what we call rate fencing. That means creating different buckets at different prices become quite feasible. Now, these rate fences can be product related. So, as you see on this chart, that they can be like class of travel. business class versus economy class. Or it could be the type of room, executive room, premier room, deluxe room, standard room, etc. in a hotel. Or it could be seat location in a theater. So, it could be like the platinum seats which are right at the back with some luxury seating arrangement, and there could be gold, silver, and that sort of different types of seats. And these, as you easily see, that you are all familiar with these product based rate fencing, and usually as consumers we do not feel much of a disturbance when business class people get more facilities, because we know they are paying almost double the price, or we do not grudge that the platinum class of customers or the platinum class of seats are given to certain customers. We do not grudge it because we know that they are paying much higher. Sometimes it can be the rate fencing can be done on the basis of some amenities, like very popular is bed and breakfast, the breakfast cost is included, or the airport pickup. So, when you arrive at your destination, there can be a certain kind of fare where there will be a limousine provided which will drop you at your destination in that city. Or there could be, even earlier there used to be pickup service from your home for your flight. These days that is not very much prevalent, but drop off service when you arrive are provided by many airlines for their business class or first class travelers. Or there could be free lounge facility. Before your departure you can relax, or on your arrival you can freshen up and take a shower and so on, and go straight to your appointment. These are therefore fencing that are doing, that means we are creating a boundary of different types of services, supplementary services or enhancing services around the core service. So, the core service is the travel from London, from Delhi to London, and so in that core service there can be product based fencing, which is class of travel, etc. There can be based on amenities, which are the augmentation or service supplementary services, or it could be even with respect to service level. Like if you are a frequent traveler, then you have a certain kind of fencing which is relating to priority wait listing, or it could be increase in baggage allowance. Normally all airlines for their business class travelers will provide maybe 30 kilogram of check-in baggage allowance, 10 kg or 12 kg of hand luggage allowance, whereas the economy class will have maybe 15 kg of check-in luggage allowance and maybe 7 kg of carry-on allowance. In some cases there is no check-in baggage, free check-in baggage facility. So, these are, as you see, based on service level you can create different kinds of buckets. Fencing could be also based on transaction characteristics. For example, time of booking. So, if you are booking for a flight for tomorrow, then you will always expect that you will be almost paying the highest price. But on the other hand, if you actually make your booking 2 hours prior to departure, you might get a very attractive rate, because it will be almost a sale initiated by the airlines for the few remaining seats which are not yet filled. So, the peak will be a day or 3 days prior to the flight. There could be a much lower rate, which is if you book 3 weeks, 4 weeks in advance. Similarly, it could be quite low if you actually are taking the last minute seats available. So, you are on a standby mode. So, this is what we do, fencing based on time of booking or reservation. It could be also booking done from location. Like for example, if you are buying a ticket for return ticket between Delhi and London, and if your ticket is purchased in India, it is quite possible that your ticket will be the price will be lower than the price which somebody will be paying for the same return, but the ticket is purchased in London for a London Delhi, Delhi London, whereas you are buying a Delhi London, London Delhi. So though the two segments are same, but your price may be different compared to somebody who is buying the ticket in London. Of course, it can also be different because you are traveling on Wednesday, and therefore your price will be higher than somebody who is traveling maybe on Saturday, because normally in certain segments the weekend traffic may be lower. But as you see, it is not always true. The weekend traffic may be much higher on a Delhi Goa flight. So which means, as I mentioned right in the beginning of today's session, revenue management needs lot of good data collection and good interpretation of that data using statistical and mathematical models. Sometimes you may have to pay a higher price if you are looking for flexibility in usage of a ticket. So if you are taking a fixed day, fixed flight ticket, usually the price will be lower than a ticket which is refundable or changeable. Sometimes a fixed price ticket may be changeable with a penalty. These are all different types of rate buckets that we are creating. Another kind of rate fencing is based on consumption characteristics. That means, say, time and duration of use. So like happy hours, which is usually between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. or 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. in a restaurant may provide you 2 for 1 type of deal in drinks, or it can provide you certain special snacks at special prices and so on. So that's why this period is called happy hours, very popular at pubs, bars and restaurants where drinks are served. That's where this name happy hour comes from. So you actually get your happiness at a lower price. Or sometimes airlines give a deal in conjunction with the tourism board that you will have to pay a lower price if you travel on Thursday and do not return on Saturday, but you return on Sunday, or you return on Monday. So the weekend, if you stay in Hong Kong, then some of the tickets will be at a price which is lower, because the airline works in conjunction with Hong Kong Tourism Board and so on. And this is applicable to many other countries. Or sometimes you pay a lower price if you are staying for 7 days, because that destination economy will be enriched if you are staying in hotels, touring around, traveling around, visiting the sites. So if you are taking a ticket for Paris for a week, that means you are returning after 1 week, the price is most likely to be cheaper than a price which is you go today and come back tomorrow, or 2 days later. Also, price will depend on departure location. So sometimes flights taking off from Bangkok for London may be cheaper than flights taking off from Delhi for London. Again, depends on pattern of demand. So ultimately, as you are seeing, based on consumption characteristics, product and product related additional benefits, or time and time related additional benefits, lead to different kinds of rates. And ultimately, the last characteristic is buyer characteristics. So people who are regular travelers, they may get a certain kind of rate advantage. People who are traveling in a group, so you are getting at one time bulk booking of 35 people as part of a touring group, and therefore there can be special price consideration. You are making a block booking of a hotel for a whole cricket team, and therefore the cricket team will can demand and will normally get certain additional privileges like maybe laundry for the players and special meal, almost free breakfast and so on and so forth. And the hotel will have to weigh this kind of package with their demand pattern. So, if you are looking for a special price at a time when the hotel is very busy, peak season, then it is not likely that you will get a special package. So, buyer characteristics will be then matched with the time based possibilities, and ultimately you will get a diagram of like this, where this is the axis which shows number of seats demanded and this shows price per seat. So, as you can see, here is the first class, and this is actually the part of the demand graph which is quite inelastic. Therefore, this is the area where a certain capacity will be booked for this. This is not very price sensitive, and this will be this part of the, if this is the total capacity, if this is the total capacity, then this part will be reserved for first class. Then there can be another section, another quota which is set aside for full fare economy. Again, these are usually people who are traveling on business, people who are actually on corporate travelers. Again, they are in this part where they are not very sensitive to price change, a little bit more than the first class travelers. Then accordingly you can actually have 1 week advance purchase, 1 week advance purchase with some Saturday night stay over, 3 weeks advance purchase. As you see, price is coming down, you are coming down on this price per seat, and accordingly your bucket size is also expanding. So, here we have 3 weeks advance purchase with Saturday night stay over, and this is actually a preferred segment for a particular promotion period. And again you see late sales for the last minute seats, that can also be at a very low price, because here the capacity is indeterminate. It will be the seats left out at the last minute, and so many times people take this standby opportunity. They may go to the airport 3 days consecutively, and one particular day they will get that very low price seat that they have been looking for. But obviously, if somebody has an appointment, business appointment, and has to be in Bombay on a certain particular day, then that person will have to pay price at this level, whereas price, somebody who can wait and take chance and go to the airport 3 times and does not care which day he or she arrives in Goa, then the price can be quite low. Sometimes airlines looking at their demand pattern, so like many times there are monsoon sale, that means there may be a 2 weeks period in August where the Bombay Delhi price may be slashed. So, people you may get 50% discount, 40% discount. So, people normally would not have, those people who normally would not have travelled will take this opportunity and occupy those seats, may visit relatives, visit friends and so on. So, this is a depiction of what we have been discussing, that is creating price buckets and fences understanding. But as you can see, you have to create first, get a lot of good data to know whether your demand graph looks like this, or it looks like this, or it looks like this. That is based on the kind of data that you have seen of your demand pattern. Also, you have to know that what kind of demand has what kind of what percentage of your capacity is served by what kind of demand, what kind of paying capacity, what kind of customers, what are their different other requirements. So, the giving a free breakfast may be almost mandatory for a business suite in a hotel, but it may be chargeable for normal rooms, or you can create package which is bed and breakfast package even for normal rooms. So, all will depend on what is your service, what kind of demand patterns you observe, what kind of people you serve with what kind of paying capacity, what kind characteristics and so on. With all these good data, you can then create this graph and then you can create this fences. So, putting service pricing into practice is fundamentally answering these questions which are in front of you, these 7 questions. How much to charge, and I think I should add here how much to charge whom and when. What is the basis for pricing? Who will be collecting the payment? What kind of payment? Is it credit card payment? Is it cash payment? Is it long credit? Is it a corporate credit and so on? And when should the payment be made? Where these are more not so critical, but what is critical is how much to charge whom and when, and how do you communicate your prices. Because one thing is that if you practice revenue management or yield management as it is known, or variable pricing, you have to be very clear and transparent that why and how you are doing this, and at least people who are interested, they should be able to access your methodology, so that people do not feel that you are taking them for a ride or trying to fleece them when somebody is in great demand. And in the book, as I had mentioned, chapter number 6 is what you have to look at, and in addition to that there is an excellent article, I think it is called Strategic Levers for Yield Management, and that paper, it is a very famous, very interesting research paper, and I think it is available at page number 196, page 196. So, if you want to understand it in greater depth, then please read this particular paper in addition to the more detailed discussion that you can have at page 196. And at this stage I might mention that in this textbook, that is our services marketing 7th edition, we have a very interesting case which is for a hotel and their challenge of revenue management, and the kind of data that one has to collect to make this to practice revenue management. You will understand quite well if you study case number 8, which is the Accra Beach Hotel block booking of capacity during a peak period. Very interesting case about a cricket team approaching a hotel which is a very great tourist destination for hotel booking, and what should be the approach taken by the hotel management, and you can then analyze and advise the hotel management whether they should accept the cricket team's request or they should decline, and that will give you a much greater understanding of what this revenue management is all about. Thank you.